Hey guys, I'm Maria McCray, and I am with Ramtech PC Solutions. This is Back to Business. Welcome back, Wade Carpenter and James Chapman. We are the IT solutions firm, like the only one you should ever use and need. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that later, but I'm going to let Wade introduce himself and James introduce himself, and then we're going to dive in. Today, we're talking about overcoming the one-man band business. And we're going to unpack as much as we can about that and try to get it done in 15 minutes.
I'm Wade Carpenter, and I'm a CPA that helps contractors become permanently profitable. And we help contractors nationwide with bookkeeping, accounting, taxes, and helping them get their life straight.
James Chapman, Chapman Insurance Group. We are a full service independent agency that helps with your personal, your commercial, and life insurance needs. We got you covered.
Nice. Now we'll give both of these guys a shameless plug. I got into the IT field because I enjoy IT and technology, and I don't want to do anything as far as bookkeeping is concerned, as far as accounting is concerned. So I lean on Wade for that. Insurance is another one of those mysterious industries for me. I have no clue. Georgia says I need it, so I call James. James hooks me up with whatever I need. So if you guys need referrals for accounting or insurance, James and Wade are your go-to partners. All right, let's dive in. Wade, why don't you kick us off? You had this idea of a topic, so let's jump in.
Well, we were talking earlier. I guess me and Marilla actually did a thing this past week. We were talking to a group of young people about, leadership and entrepreneurship. And what a lot of people don't realize is that, leading a company can be a very lonely place. The statistic, I believe, is like 1 in 7 people will ever start a business. And it's pretty lonely. And, scaling up from that one-man band can be tough. And so that's the gist of today. What I was going to say is, I think back when I was a teenager or young adult, I liked to work on cars. And, I was young and I didn't have a lot of money, so I bought some tools, and I bought cheap tools. And those cheap tools broke and they didn't work as well. And as I got older, I understood that, having the right tool for the right job can make all the difference in the world. And what's the point of this? Well, a lot of times when I was starting and trying to scale up my business, I, tried to do everything myself on the cheap. I didn't invest in, having a professional like Morel with IT. Sounds self-serving, but a lot of people will do things like, have their spouse do their accounting, those kind of things. And, we try to do it on the cheap. And, as we find out, it doesn't always work out as well. So what I would tell a lot of people, you're trying to scale yourself. I mean, some of these core functions in a business, it's critical to have it, but a lot of my guys are construction guys. They'll go work all day, then they come home and do paperwork all night or on the weekends. And, if they were outsourcing some of these core functions, those kind of things, paying for it and getting a lot of times better results doing it can also a lot of times free you up to get beyond yourself. And that's the point I wanted to make today.
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that. Scaling even an IT firm is difficult, right? Because even getting started in this industry, you got to have so many tools in your tool belt, right? And like you, Wade, we had the wrong tools, and we had to sharpen those tools, and we had to replace a lot of them too, because I'm talking about software tools, actual tools, like to take computers apart and servers apart. And you get to a point where you could have bought the $100 tool, and you bought the $10 tool, and you bought the $10 tool 100 times. So it's kind of like you could have bought it once and been done sort of approach. So I get that. But yeah, even for us, bootstrapping this business, it was difficult. For a long time, I couldn't afford accounting services, I had, a friend that was an accountant that took it over and decided to help me before I started using, Carpenter Company. So and then even then, with him being a CPA, when Carpenter Company picked it up, they found a lot of things that were, just that still needed to be done and done right. So I think as a business matures, right, you kind of pick up some of those things along the way that need to be done and done professionally, just so, really, I think Wade kind of hit the nail on the head for me was, hey, look, if you want your business to be more marketable, if you want to be able to go for a business loan, or if you want to sell in 10 years, we need to do this right and do it right now type of approach. And, that was kind of the eye opener for me was, hey, look, we got to scale, and we got to scale right. We picked, a certain year to just kind of get our ducks in a row to become an official business, whatever that looks like. And then you start building blocks on top of that and adding customers and adding employees. But the hardest part right now for us is just finding help. We're looking for, a couple positions to fill right away. And it's just hard finding the people to get in those spots. So
I will say, I think there's a lot that comes from bootstrapping, because I've also seen the other side, right? Where people think they got to have like the fanciest places and all this top line things when they haven't earned any money.
Right.
There's some respect that comes from it. It's always funny when things are really flush for a year for me, and then the next year it tightens up. So I start analyzing everything, making sure I'm staying on top of it. I find so much waste I have. Right. So there's a balance there, right? Speaking of, just starting out, bootstrapping it, making it work, being by yourself, but that shouldn't be a long-term goal. Now, I know there's exceptions to the norms. Well, I know Bobby over here, and he's a one-man show, and this is how it works for him. I get it. That's Bobby. He's not the norm. A lot of these solopreneurs, you got to have a process and a plan of how you're going to go. And then, like you said, you hire value services that are valued. So like both of you guys, for me, right? Like not only was it lonely, so I started talking to you guys a lot when I was struggling, that helps me, right? And then even though we're in different industries, you give me a shoulder to cry on, so to speak, or say, hey man, I feel you, but trust me, there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? And then the second piece is like, you don't need to be the best at everything. I ask Wade every year very elementary, dumb questions. And then he explains it. It still sounds like he's talking about the Matrix or something. And I say, hey man, whoa, you got to dumb that down. It's so weird to me that people will try to do stuff themselves. And then when they hire out, they try to act like they know as much as the person. And that's crazy. Like, ask questions.
Yeah.
Morel will tell me why I need a piece of software or equipment, and I usually go, huh? Right? Like, then he breaks it down real elementary, and then I get back to what I'm good at. And guess what? When he's talking about insurance, I'm breaking it down for him because he knows, he's humble enough to know what he doesn't know, right? And he's going to ask, so he has a basic understanding. He trusts what I'm saying. He can validate it and move on. Like, be that person. But working and staying as a solopreneur, and you just think like you're going to be like a business that has all the other headaches, right? Trying to grow, trying to find good people, scale and stuff, but you're going to stay one like that. That's not owning a business, man. That is a prison.
Let me ask you a question. So the question I normally get is, when did you know it was time to hire somebody?
For me, I would just say, I came out the gates trying to hire. Like the moment I had the first opportunity to hire, like I was just churning for that. I was just chomping at the bits because I was like, I don't want to do all this. I kept telling myself, like, I created a business to be able to do what I want. Now I got to do some crap I don't want to do so I can do what I want to do. Like, and I got to bring people in. I will never be good enough to do all this by myself. Like I just knew my motto was like, there's no way I can build this to what I want by myself.
What about you, Wade? When did you find out it was time to exit the one-man band team?
Yeah, it's it's hard to think back, but I've always wanted to have extra help and those kind of things. But at first I was really afraid to spend the money. And at some point you get to the point where you figure out there's only so much you can do yourself.
Right.
There is this upper ceiling that somebody can do. And that's part of the journey, I think, for the one-man band is like, once you hire that person, also trusting in that person to learn to delegate. And that's the only way you scale, is if you can learn to delegate and, have other people do the things that that needs to be done.
Yeah. I think for us, it was, well, one of the benefits for us to grow was it expands our knowledge base, right? So it looks attractive when I'm meeting potential customers and I say, hey, look, my team, we've got 30 plus years of IT experience combined. I mean, that's real attractive, and it gives us depth of knowledge there that, a lot of folks would jump at the bit to get. But the getting started was the hardest part. I mean, we had to generate the work, and I can tell you there were a lot of 14, 15, sometimes 20-hour days where, I was in the basement grinding it, so it was it did take a lot of work and a lot of hard work to get to where we are today. So I can
I add two real quick things to that. Number one, if you are the individual and all you do every time more money comes in is just pay yourself more, you're never going to be able to grow it. That's so true. The other thing I did is I kept throwing money at new people, better technology, better services, right? Like investing back in the business. Like I've till this day, I mean, I basically try to stay broke on reinvesting in the business. And so I don't just get all the money and then I go, well, man, I make $400,000 a year. Well, but I do everything. I never get a vacation. Like that's not a life I want to live. You know what I mean? So
there's a season for that though. I mean, because when I first started out, I mean, I think it was like the first 5 years, I didn't have a vacation. Everywhere I went, I took the cell phone with me, the laptop with me. And, if a call came in, I worked it, I can vividly remember staying in the condo while my family's on the beach and I'm sitting on the balcony while they're playing in the ocean,
Sure.
But it took time to get to that point now where it's like, I can take a day off. I can take a week off. I can take a month off and not have to worry about, crashing and burning and missing out. So it definitely will stretch your business once you can, you can scale. So I get that totally.
And then you say that about seasons. That's the second thing. Like, remember, as you're scaling, we basically grew these tiny little increments for 4 years. And then we had this massive jump, right? We did some acquisitions, things boomed for 2 or 3 years. And then they've kind of almost flatlined again. Like I'm just barely growing at these little increments. There's another boom out there, but it's like, I got to put it in every day. Just because you put it in today doesn't mean it shows up tomorrow. So, there's going to be, I'm sure Wade, he sees a lot more of the back end of this stuff. He could probably speak much more in depth about it than I can, but like, just remember, it's just not a straight line on how you grow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, now can I jump in on what James said? Both his points. There is a season for everything. And too often, I think a lot of people start a business and they're constantly reinvesting every dime into that business. And a lot of times their receptionist will take home more money than they do. Mm. And they forget that.
I'm gonna feel profit first coming up right now.
Well, but I mean, that was a huge turning point for me, because for years and years, I was like, well, I won't take this money and I'll reinvest it. But you got to remember, you got to pay yourself a fair wage. What happens if you get hit by a bus? If you had to replace yourself and you're not making as much as you were working for somebody else, well, you're going down the wrong path. And when you learn to build profit with paying yourself like you should and covering your taxes, I didn't mean to go down the profit first path, but James set me up pretty darn good there. So
yeah, he did. You set us up for the T on that one. No, all valid points, all good points. Well, guys, I appreciate your time today. I appreciate the insight. I hope we were able to deliver some nugget of opportunity to learn from the minds of masters here that I call them. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. We will be releasing more in the future. And if you have any topics that you want us to cover, don't forget to send those as well.